Here's our last help video. We've talked about work planes, action centers, fall offs, kind of all the basics. I want to talk about the interface just a little bit more. We introduced it in the very beginning, but I want to talk about the customization. And you can see as you mouse over each one of these areas, they automatically highlight. Now, that's not our editing doing that. That is actually Modo doing that. And in the little corner right there, there's a little tiny dot. You can click and hold on that and pull out this panel altogether if you wanted. Put it on a secondary monitor, rearrange your interface. So in this case, I'll take this and I'll just drop it in here. Now I do this actually quite a bit depending on what I'm working on. For instance, so I might want the properties here and I want the shader tree here, that I really just want to open this up. There's other times maybe I'll try and pull this one out, maybe put it here so that my item list, and I just grabbed that tab and just moved it. So my item list is its own length, and my shader tree has its own length. These are great when you've got really big projects, and I've got a 27-inch monitor, so these can fit very well. Very, very flexible to move these around. If you want to duplicate a view, let's say right in here, again, there's these little tick marks in the top corner, thumbtacks, whatever you want to call them. If I hold the control key down, Mac or PC, and swipe down, I'll actually duplicate that view. You can right click on it and also do the same, or just delete it. Again, I'll hold the control key and swipe to the right, and I've got another view that way. Control key, swipe down, I got another view that way. So what's the point of doing that? Why would you have multiple views? Well, you necessarily wouldn't have a multiple view of the same thing. I would maybe duplicate this, and then up in the top one, I could say instead of a perspective, give me a camera view. And now I've got a nice camera view. And then this one could be a top view or a side view, and we can just build our own interface that way. So really nice way to work. And again, I'm all in the model tab. If you ever need to change this back, come up here to layout, and you can see there's your 601 default layout. And you can click that and everything's back to normal. Also under layouts is animate. Okay, and this is a nice new way to kind of just clear out your interface and just get down to business. Business, as we say. And you can see there's a little model button here if you ever need to call up some primitives. You can pop that right up. But nice 3D scene view, shader tree, and then some commands if you need to get to those, which are something we won't talk about right now. But just a really nice way to work. You got groups and actions and your tool properties, item properties. So we'll select our camera, for instance. You can work with that, your display channels and so on, all right down here. Very, very nice way to work. These layouts are all just different ways of exploring the interface. The tools don't really change. It's just a rearrangement. 3D sparse I like quite a bit, simply because there's times where you just got an afternoon and got some caffeine on the side and you're just tweaking a model and just creating. And this is a great view, especially on a huge monitor. You can just work with this. And you're thinking, well, how do you know the tools? Well, this gives me the opportunity to talk to you about pie menus. If I hold Control and Space over my mouse, I will get a little pie menu that I can choose the left view or the bottom view or the perspective view and so on. Control 1, and I'm holding these down. I'm holding Control and 1 at the same time. I can toggle lights, cameras, wireframe, grid space, and so on. Then Control 2 changes my viewport style. So up here I'm set to texture. I can change it to reflection, or I can change it to advanced OpenGL. Control 3, graph editor, pops that up, pops up my color palette, sculpt paint tab, so on. So for instance, do that, give me my tools, hold the shift key, add a box, move it away. What's really cool about that, and I had my caps lock on accidentally, what's really cool about that is that these don't actually pop up normal panels that you have to close. It pops up a very simple overlay. I notice that it's kind of ghosted, and I can work in here just fine, but as soon as I move my mouse, it goes away. Unlike pressing a actual menu, it is much like the O command when we call up the options, which we've done a few times. You press that, move your mouse, it goes away. Whereas if we popped up an actual panel, we'd have to move it or close it. So again, Control 3 can pop something up, work in there, move your mouse, it goes away. Control 4 you actually get to your new tools like Topo Pen for topology, get to topology mode. You can see the viewport change, turn on a pen and start to work. Topology sketch, things like this, which we're going to talk about how we can sketch right over this model. Lazy selections, which we've not talked about yet, but easy way to just select various points and polygons on your model. We don't really have the best model for it, but okay, so just a couple of quick ways to work, and you can even go to Control 5, which is backface, edge loop, edge slice, inner inner snap, which is really cool, and so on. Now, Control 6 doesn't have anything, but that leaves you the opportunity to set one up yourself, and you can go up to your system and go to Input Editor and work in here. Now, we're not going to get into this right now. This can get very complex. I recommend not getting into here unless you're more of the programmer type. But should you do this, should you come in here and change different menus and view modes and set up different keyboard equivalents and things with this input editor, what you can do is go and delete, if you completely screw everything up, quit Modo altogether, Mac or PC, get to your preferences file, which usually lives in your user library, delete it. And then when you start Modo back up, everything will be back to normal. Okay, so just a quick tip on that. Lastly, you can always clear out your interface altogether. And I've shown this pretty much in every video, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. You can just simply add a new window, and in the top right, add a tool panel. In this case, we'll add a Modo Tools. And like I showed you very first part of this video, you can rearrange things just by clicking that thumb and just aligning it. So there is a Modo Tools, and you can simply rebuild an interface that way. And when you're done, you can save it as whatever you want. And then that save will show up in your list. That's it. That is the end of the help videos. All the very basics. Now, we did not talk about your basic lighting, your basic cameras, and your basic surfacing. I'm going to incorporate those into our mini projects. So for our first project, we're going to build a snake.